Today's video is going to be another one that's focused around Tidal Wave, because obviously Tidal Wave was very inaccessible when it first released, only the best players could touch it, but as the months have went on, we've been seeing more and more people actually be able to play this level. Specifically in recent months, we've been seeing a lot of people post a bunch of progress on the level and actually beat it, and today's focus is going to be talking about one of those players who recently actually showcased some progress. Yeah, so as you guys know, Tidal Wave has been 4th for a while now, and it's been in the top 5 for ages. I've stated this fact a bunch of times on videos before, but out of the modern top 10, Tidal Wave is the only level to still be on it from its time period, which shows how much of a skill increase Tidal Wave actually was. For ages, Tidal Wave was only being able to be done by people like Trick and Popoff and Zoink, and nobody else. Those are the only people who could realistically touch this level and anything around it. However, recently we've been seeing more and more people actually be able to get to the skill where this level isn't just some impossible thing that can never be reached, and people can actually make progress and even beat the level. We saw a couple people in this kind of time period, from Nethermind to Servax, like these group of people were able to beat it. And then very recently, we've been seeing a ton of progress from other people who are able to actually get to this level. Which makes sense, because Tidal Wave is wave carried, and all the top players now are wave carried. But as you can see, very recently, we had Jesse Gaming complete the level, and we also had this Korean player complete it. And sadly, I don't know the Korean player's name, because I'm a bean, I don't know Korean. But our current video topic is going to be on Turtle. Turtle is a player who 3 hours ago was actually able to get list percent on Tidal Wave, getting 74%. Now, Turtle's been playing Tidal Wave for a while now, and has been kind of getting well known in the community recently from a lot of very impressive or notable achievements. The new hardest of Silent Club Step being one of them, and also getting 21% on Heliopolis. This was because of the Nepesta 250 players beat Heliopolis event. If you don't somehow know what that was, Nepesta hosted a tournament with 250 pros where we had to get 1% each day until we couldn't anymore. So one day you have to get 1%, next day's 2, next day's 3, and it goes on and on and on. Turtle reached 21%, which is genuinely crazy because that is one of the top players in the tournament by reaching that. And of course, Turtle's been doing other stuff, like in the past 10 days, beat Poo Cubed and Minustry, 2 top 50s, so that is actually really impressive. But I know you're here for the Tidal Wave stuff, so we'll talk about it. And if you look at this, Turtle's been playing this level for a long time. Like, you could see this progress from 8 months ago that's already deep in at 43%. But then recently, you can look at these attempts. Tidal Wave in 2 runs took nearly 400,000 attempts. 32 to 100 took nearly 400,000 as well, and 74% took 15,000 attempts over 400,000. Just to put that into perspective, the attempts it takes people like Popoff and Zoink to beat the current levels in the top 3 is roughly around 50 to 80,000, or 35 to 80,000. Obviously, they've even grown in skill since then, so it's probably even less now. But just for comparison, this taking 400,000 attempts is a crazy amount. Even the highest end of verifications usually take 120,000-ish attempts, or around that mark. I believe that this is even more than Doggy on Grief. I'm pretty sure Doggy's in the 300,000s with Grief. I think it's like 370k right now. So 415k is a diabolical amount of dedication. Keep in mind, Jesse Gaming, who was one of the recent victors of Tidal Wave, took 244,000 attempts. Turtle has got like hundreds of thousands more attempts than Jesse Gaming, and even that 200k attempts on Tidal Wave was seen as a ridiculous amount of attempts, and everyone congratulated Jesse on having by far the most dedication out of anyone. So having 400,000 just shows I have so much respect to Turtle for doing that. I made a top player ranking video, and I actually hadn't heard of Turtle, like, before I made that video, so I didn't even have Turtle on that list. If I knew about this, I would definitely have Turtle on here. This is just insane levels of dedication. And this should show how astronomically difficult Tidal Wave still is, even in modern day, when you think about it, because Silent Clubstep and Avernus and Acheron, Abyss of Darkness, Kyuki, Slaughterhouse, these are all really hard levels that Turtle beaten, and even with this many impossibly hard completions, Turtle's still taking over 400k on Tidal Wave. That should just put into perspective how brutal this level is. And even now, we put so much attention on levels like Africa Circles, which are still being verified, and they're around Tidal Wave difficulty. So even now, we're kind of barely at the Tidal Wave skill level. Obviously, we are now. We're seeing a lot of people reach it, but it's nowhere near the amount of people we saw beat Acheron before that got dethroned, or Slaughterhouse, right? There's still, in comparison, very few amount of people who have beaten this. But I should still mention the people who are getting close, because it's not only Turtle who's making progress. Now, obviously, Turtles did it a couple hours ago, so I mentioned Turtle first, and that's what the video focuses on, but I should also mention the other people who are making progress. Here is Rose, who has 87% on Tidal Wave and 22 to 100. Rose is another one of those really good top players that are currently in the game, and even Rose has been playing this for nearly half a year. Like 44% is decently far in, and that is, again, nearly half a year ago. And Rose has still not beaten him, which shows how difficult this level is. Keep in mind, this is someone who's beaten stuff like Aquamarine and unnerfed Zakupan Circles, and defeated Circles. This is someone who is super good at the wave game mode, and is still taking this amount of time, and it's because the level is genuinely just that hard. I think many people disregard Tidal Wave in recent times, just because we now have 3 levels above it, and there is so many top ones getting verified now, which, fair enough, those levels are ridiculously hard. I don't know how there's people even trying to attempt some of these levels, and those people should get the attention and respect because they are doing something beyond the current skill barrier. It's crazy, right? But Tidal Wave is still very much a hard challenge. Like, even Orbit, people were freaking out about the difficulty of Orbit, and Tidal Wave is still above that. Tidal Wave is still a super impressive challenge, and just because these people aren't in like the top first 5 people to beat the level doesn't mean they shouldn't have any attention, right? This is still incredibly hard. There's also Nocturina, who has 53% on Tidal Wave. This is someone who has been uploading runs for the past couple months. We saw the first progress 3 months ago, and then we saw this 53% run 2 months ago. I wouldn't usually cover someone who got this little progress, but that's still over half the level, and this is someone who's beaten Anathema, right? This is someone who has definitely shown potential to beat this, so I did want to cover her. And of course, there's also Gat Bro, who is currently the only person to have a list record on Pointer Crate. Obviously, we just saw Turtle get a list percent now, but as of ones that are registered in Pointer Crate, Gat Bro is the only one that has that. And this, again, is after 100,000 attempts, which, again, that is a fourth of what Turtle has. However, keep in mind that 100,000 attempts is still a crazy amount. You have to be really motivated to play a level 100,000 times over. I've only done that for one other level. I could not imagine doing it again, so yeah, congrats to this for Gat Pro. And also, 455 subscribers. Imagine getting list percent on Tidal Wave and only having that many. You guys, please subscribe to these people, or at least show them attention and watch the video, because I think if you have this much skill, you need more attention. This is just disrespectful. But I'll end the video here because it is talking about Turtle. Turtle's the main focus. Turtle is like 10 subs away from 2k. I'm sure we can get, I mean, obviously it won't be we. Obviously there'll be people viewing the video because it's Tidal Wave. But if we could get Turtle to that 2k milestone, that would be great. We just need 10 people to do so. Go support Turtle, and also for any other progress that Turtle may want to do, because obviously Tidal Wave isn't everything Turtle's doing. Again, 10 days ago Pookie the 100%, 5 days ago Minus Dry. They are grinding so many other levels on top of this, so go support them, or anyone else who's playing Tidal Wave. I would have talked about Zoink's video where he spent a week on Heliopolis, however, I mean, I already made a video on Heliopolis that kind of went over this stuff and Zoink anyways, so it doesn't really matter, and I want to put more attention on people who are getting way less recognition. And of course, the people who are playing Tidal Wave are those people, and I think they deserve way more recognition. So that's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching, and peace.